Hey, what's up? It's Rashad, hanging with the Joneses. Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, Episode 5, Parting. And this is a spoiler review. Got to talk about a thing to talk about a thing. I'm going to be honest. I am very happy that they're going to actually be doing something next episode because this episode was really the longest. How can I put this? It's a lot of getting ready to do the thing that we know is going to happen. And if people have been kind of annoyed with that, then this episode I kind of understand like your gripe. But yeah, let's just talk about a couple of things. So first, we had the Harfoots are back because they were absent last episode, and they are still trying to get to wherever they're going next. And I just want to the Harfoots, man. Like I think low key are the real villains of the show because they are so quick to throw away their own people in the name of their cause. So the cause is always leaving. They're basically nomadic peoples, and they're going from place to place. They don't really have one home like the hobbits in the Shire. So the Harfoots are trying to get to where they're going, and they're noticing that stuff is dying quicker than usual. Of course, the blight is affecting everyone with the return of Sauron and, Adar coming through. We'll talk about him later. But the way that they are so cavalier about, hey, they put your boys in the back. That was one. He was already hurt. And, Space Jesus was helping him out. Secondly, the lady, I think her name is Marvel, like whatever her name is, talking to the head dude, the black dude, and she was like, yo, let's take their wheels off their car and leave them. I'm like, y'all got rules that y'all can actually enact to do this to your own people, aside from just the perilous walk and trek that this is just because you're so small and you have all these natural predators, besides from people, wolves who we saw in this episode, and just, the elements themselves. So it's just like, to me, like they're the worst, man. Like, I'm sorry. The Harvests are the worst. And just because you're singing and you look jovial and people like things that are smaller, think things that are smaller are naturally cute, they're not, yo. They're the worst. The Harfoots are the true villains of the Ring of Power. I don't care what you say. All right, so Galadriel and the Queen, they're going back and forth, and they finally allowed them to take 5 ships back over to Middle Earth. Essentially the assistant to the Pharaoh Zone is his son, and this kid and the Pharaoh Zone have a very covert plan to burn up the ships, right? While they're trying to do that, your boys, man, what's his name? Isildur, he's end up stowing away on the boat because he really wants to be a part of the faithful. And, they was like, nah, yo, you suck because you abandoned ship last time and sabotaged us, so you can't come. So he ends up stowing away. They bump into each other and end up burning up 2 ships. He creates this whole lie saying that he was in a fishing boat, boom, and the other kid was like, yeah, he saved my life, whatever. They believe them. He ends up going to Middle Earth as we see them taking their maiden voyage away at the end of the episode. Pharaoh Zone's looking real shady. He basically tells his son, said, look, yo, let them go to Middle Earth. You know what I'm saying? We're going to play the long game because after a while, we're going to be ruling over the elves. So he already wants power. And we already know what happens when you want power. You end up being corrupt. So Pharaoh Zone, watch out for your boy. And also, he is the queen's husband. Like, I just realized that. I don't think that kid is anything that they came up with because he looks like, super white. There's no way that can match out like that. So the queen is upset. Halbrand ends up coming through and accepting his call to action to go to Middle Earth, and he talks about his apprehension about like his people really was back in Sauron last time when they had to, the whole altercation on Middle Earth. So he was worried about that. He gives in, and he's gonna hopefully be the one to unite the peoples of the of Middle Earth. So the Southlands and all that. So we have Adar. Adar shows up again, and half of the people who were with the old town that had Bronwyn and so many names. Well, Bronwyn's people and Arrendere. Yeah, Bronwyn and Arrendere, where they was hanging out with, and they fled. So they're at this tower, and half the people leave and go to pledge fealty to Adar. The old creepy dude that tried to get Theo to hang out with him goes up to him, and he's like on the ground, on his knees, like a little punk, and saying like, yo, like, understanding that he doesn't know that that's Adar. He thinks it's Sauron. Adar gets a little pissed about it, you know what I'm saying? And then makes him pledge fealty with blood. So Theo's boy that basically skedaddled on him, the smart one, he has to kill him. And the old man killed him. You know what I'm saying? They just kind of cut scene and went somewhere else. So Bronwyn and Arrendere are having this philosophical argument about fighting and not fighting. And then they end up coming to this conclusion about basically the tower falling down. So it looks like they're going to try to make the tower fall to trap all of the orcs and Adar, probably next episode. Because right now there's going to be a convergence in the Southlands with Galadriel and Halbrand, also with Arrendere and Bronwyn, and then you have maybe the Harfoots come through. I don't know. Knowing them, they'll probably run away because they're a bunch of scary punks. They just want to kill themselves off. And then you're gonna have the elves and the dwarves. Now the elves and the dwarves, we already know that the Mithril, the elves get it. So there was a quick back and forth. Durin lets them mine the Mithril, because without the Mithril, the elves are essentially going to die. They're not going to be immortal beings anymore. They're just going to be lost in the ether, and there'll be no more elves. And you kind of need elves in this world because they're cool and they're strong. Other than that, they will definitely be gone. So they come up with a pack and a plan, and they're going to mine for the Mithril. So while all this is happening, you have Space Jesus chilling with Nori. And he protects them. There's some wolves that come up out of nowhere. He takes the wolves away, scares them off. His arm is scarred. So he's trying to biofreeze his arm by using some spell. And then Goofy Nori is going to be like, stop it, no. And grabs his arm. Her arm starts to freeze. She gets scared. She gets knocked back on the ground. She starts to run away and cry. Space Jesus is having this philosophical debate within his own self if he's good or bad, because he killed the fireflies. Not a good thing. Also, Nori has to ensure him that he's good because he's helping and friends help. So he's actually starting to learn the language a little bit, starting to communicate. So his progression has been gradual at best. But yeah, that's really all that happens. There's some other stuff that happens, Isildur's sister gets upset, doesn't want her brother and dad to leave. But, not a lot happened. It looked really good, though. It was pretty. It was pretty nothingness. But, yeah, hopefully 6, 7, and 8, we'll see the culmination of these events. Maybe we get a little bit of Sauron. But, yeah, I'm still feeling that the series, even though if you do have some apprehensions, I get it and I understand. But yeah, that's all I got for this one. Definitely go back on the channel. Thursday drop She-Hulk. Monday 7 p.m. Wester Bros. Me and the boy Antonio are having big fun doing that together. And we're also doing Andor together. That's going to drop on Wednesday evening. All right, so make sure you're subscribed. Check us out when we do our shorts, our reels, our TikToks, even on Facebook. Whole nine. Make sure you subscribe. Till next time.